Hey everybody, Sandee Payne here with the PCS Project Podcast. I am so excited to bring you so much fun information today. I've got a special guest and I can't wait to introduce her to you. So stay tuned. We are back, and you guys, I just want to jump right in. I have a special guest today from Maryland, Carolann Bergersen, and she is here, and oh my gosh, she brings so much knowledge and personal experience about the military. I can't wait for you guys to introduce her. So welcome, Carolann.
Thank you, Sandee. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about you, just briefly for the audience, kind of where you are, just so in case they need to find you or they're PCSing to your area this year. Tell me where you are.
Okay. First of all, my team is the PCS home team. We are in Maryland. We service USNA, Fort Meade, NSA, Joint Base Andrews, Curtis Bay for the Coast Guard, just about every service. And we'd love to have you come on over here and join us.
So like 99% of your clientele have some type of military affiliation. So I'm sure you're seeing new soldiers and their families, and then even helping people out at retirement. Because I think a lot of people retire from your area.
They do. They definitely do. Like us.
Yeah. So tell me about that. We were talking the other day and you're like 24 years, of military experience. Like, what does that look like for you?
So my husband went in the service in 81. We had gotten married and we traveled all over the country, had 4 sons, ended up here in Maryland in 98. He retired in 2003. Okay. And I went into real estate a few years back because he just decided to do flipped homes with my son and said, why don't you become a real estate agent? And I'm like, always wanted to. So here I am helping the military.
So is that how you got started in real estate? Is just your family's desire to flip houses?
Yes, I always had a desire to do it, but was never enough time. So in retirement, I was able to do so.
Nice. Did you come across something that was like your craziest unexpected moment during any of that? Like, I never would have thought, you exposed something crazy in a wall, or any weird story with any flip.
Yes, it's always a weird story. So yeah, I had been taking people to see homes, and we walked into a home, and I always knock and ring the bell, and nobody was supposed to be here. The house was supposed to be empty. Did walk in, and then 3 20-year-old girls come downstairs in their underwear. And I'm like, okay. And their parents thought the house was empty, and the girls decided to just sleep over that night because they had been out. So that was a little embarrassing.
I would say that's quite embarrassing.
But people have walked into a lot worse than that.
Yes. Yeah. I have walked into people like sleeping, like night workers and sleeping, and they just forgot or fell asleep. But that is so crazy. The other thing, I know, since you have lived in your area for so long, when people are moving to Maryland, to your area, what kind of, because it's a pretty big area that you work, a lot of ground to cover. What does that market look like? Just kind of an overall, aerial view.
Okay, so I cover about 5 counties. So Joint Base Andrews is a lot further than Fort Meade. And I live in a location where I can get to all those counties. I've gone as far as Charles County, and that's an hour and 20 minutes away from me. So I do cover a lot.
Now you say an hour and 20 minutes, but is that like in traffic?
No, that's just for me to get to show people homes, because I might be working at a different base.
Gotcha. I see. Yeah. So kind of bopping around all over. Yeah, I can imagine that. I'm in 2 counties, but they're pretty big. But I'd say our furthest is, probably that hour time frame, getting all the way to Austin. Because here at Fort Hood, we're probably just about an hour from just touching into Austin, depending on where you want to go. You're gonna have to go a little bit further than that. But most of our families here, they live really kind of stay around that Fort Hood base, Killeen, Harker Heights, Coppers Cove, some of those areas. So but we don't have the traffic like some bigger cities do, so we're an hour and a half, like it's movement, you're moving for an hour and a half. So, you mentioned to me that your favorite place in Maryland was Annapolis. What makes
Yes.
that your favorite out of all the places you could pick?
So the way we ended up here is my husband, we were supposed to go to Japan, and then all of a sudden he gets a call and says, "Do you want to go to the Naval Academy?" And that was like his dream job to teach there. So he's like, "Of course." So I have four sons, and they all talked about going to the military. So we moved to Fort Meade area, but he taught at the Naval Academy.
Mm,
And while we were there, I ended up working there for a while too. And I just love the academy. The grounds are absolutely beautiful. It's on the harbor. You could walk to Main Street in historical Annapolis. The homes are from the 1700s, some of them. It's just a beautiful place to be. And you can just spend the whole day there and enjoy it.
yeah, and I imagine the weather's really nice too. It's
Well, the weather here is kind of strange.
certain times of years.
We had 37 this morning, and tomorrow I think we're going to go up to like 67. So you never know what you get.
Never know. So dress in layers. Yeah. Yeah. So the other thing too, I know in your area, because you're probably like us, and I find at most military duty stations, you have a whole variety of people. You've got people wanting to buy and make an investment, retire, make a long-term investment, maybe buy something and rent it out once they leave. And then, we've got this whole other rental market. So not just, talking real estate, but more of, people coming in, like what should they be looking for during different um maybe times in their life, or if this isn't going to be a forever move. Like, do you feel, within staying compliant, that there's kind of one area that seems to be more attractive to maybe like a younger soldier in their family, or just like, I don't know anything about your area. I've never been there. So what does that look like as far as the options?
So a lot of the young people do love Annapolis because there's nightlife there.
Mm,
And some people don't want to live in Baltimore because it's too citified. So some of the young people like Baltimore. I don't do much business up that way, but the Annapolis area seems to be the big 20s to 30s,
mm.
kids. Some that aren't married, living together, or they don't have kids. They can get out a lot more. They like that area a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
that sounds super fun. We've got some areas like that here too. And we're not in the military anymore. My husband did 23 years and retired almost 8 years ago. And so even though I work around Fort Hood, sometimes when we want to have date night and we tend to try to like get away from where I work, just
right.
because I feel like I'm here all the time anyway. And we've got a real cute little town. It's called Salado, and it's like this little historical kind of cultural. There's like glass blowing and a lot of art galleries and breweries and things like that to do some good food. And you can kind of walk the whole thing too. So you can kind of make a whole day, evening of it. Um, with all of the experience that you've had moving yourself and helping so many people, um, we're getting upon PCS season. I mean, this is a big season right now going into the second quarter of the year. Everybody's starting to get their orders. They're starting to get notice that they're going places. And I always remembered like being in this panic of like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready to move. Like I need to declutter, I need to get organized, and I remember my first move was, totally unprepared. I was unprepared. I had no idea what was about to happen. But kind of as you do them, you kind of find your rhythm and you find the things that work. Like, do you have any tips for maybe people who maybe it's their first time, or maybe they've done this, 10 times? Like, is there like some secret magic tip, some secret sauce that you find like just helps everybody?
Yes, I do. we've moved. We've moved to Maryland as well since we've been here. So I've moved like 13 times,
Mm,
and I've had a lot of experience. So what I do is I pack each room one at a time. I pack one room and leave those boxes in that room. Mark all your boxes. Make sure you mark what's in those boxes. If it's kitchen, write pots and pans or dishes. Write what's in the boxes. So when you get to where you are, you can just tell the guys that are delivering the furniture and the boxes, put this box kitchen in kitchen. Put this box bedroom one in bedroom one. So when you're going to unpack, everything's already in that room.
and that sounds so simple, right? Like, doesn't everybody do it like that? Wouldn't that just make common sense? But no, it is not always common sense. Now I know, like we did almost all of our moves, and that the arm, the arm with the army, and the movers would come in and they would pack you,
Mhm.
like literally take the things off the walls and like take, and I remember getting a little frustrated. I'm like, don't use my clothes to like pack my pictures on the wall. So I always got into this habit of anything that was like could be packing material, like I would have them in those big um air bag, what are they called? Like space bags, where you suck them down and like there's just no way anybody's gonna be able to mess it up and move them all around. Um and what did you find, like, because I know you're saying pack things, what did you find was easiest to pack on your own versus letting, these moving companies come in and literally pack for you?
Right. So we had 4 young kids most of the time when we were moving. So I always had them come in and pack for me. However, what I would do in advance
Mm,
is my husband would take like apart the beds when there were screws and nuts where you had to put the beds together.
right.
And we bag those up in Ziploc bags, mark what they're for, and carry them with us. Anything like my jewelry, any cash,
I see.
anything of value, like Hummels and figurines that were worth a lot of money. I didn't want them to pack them, you
Mhm.
know, and we did that all ourselves. And I took those with us. So we might
Okay.
have gotten a small U-Haul or just, we had a big van, so we would be able to take stuff with us. But it's really important, do not leave anything out that you're going to need with you when you get there before your shipment comes.
Yeah, because when we moved to Germany, we lived there for 7 years. We made 3 moves while we were in Germany. But I I remember everybody telling me that. I was like, oh, it can't possibly take 2 months to get your stuff, or more anymore. And we got there, and I remember my neighbor had moved in and they had all their stuff, and I was like, can I please have your boxes? I need to make a table and chairs for my children to play to play with. I remember like making boxes and just like stacking them and trying to like put clothing in them. We had this whole like cardboard home that we were trying to function with because we were running around with 2 kids and we were overseas. We didn't have the ability to just go buy new furniture. I mean, we had it all coming, and I remember making all kinds of. I was a very creative I am still a very creative person, and I remember just making these projects out of all this cardboard because I didn't want to believe that it was going to take months to get my stuff. So yeah, getting in the habit of, think about the next 30 days or whatever that length of time, what are going to be crucial, what documents, right? That was always a big paperwork, because you're moving, you're just thinking through, put it all in the office or in one particular box, but then you get where you're going and you've got to register kids for school and you need report cards and all these other things that, we hear it all the time, like, well, it's on the truck, it's coming somewhere. So
Yeah.
really kind of thinking, and what about I always find it funny about like decorating temporarily. I think you probably remember the days like me of like liquid starch and fabric to try to like stick it to that one always gets me. I'm telling you, if I said that to my clients today, they'd just want me to do what? Like what funny things, let's date ourselves here going back 20 plus years. Do you remember doing like funny decorating things?
At the time, it was not funny, but I think back about it, it seems kind of weird. We were living in housing. This is going back like 33 years ago. And it was very country style. Everything was country. And we used to take the ruffles, you buy them in the the seamstress store, and we
Oh,
used to tack them underneath our cabinets. So there'd be little ruffles under our kitchen cabinets to make it look homey and country. Now I think about it, that was pretty tacky, but it was the style. That's what we did.
right. Yeah, it was a style. I was always a big fan of fabric, like window treatments, like curtains, because always thought curtains were the craziest. I mean, never did you have the right size, the right number. So I would get creative with like cloth napkins and like, fold them over the rod so they'd make like different colors and pattern little valances, type of things. Or, I mean, gosh, that was always my big thing. I was always a big fabric person and wanted to change pillowcases. And so I'd find all these cloth napkins. I don't know why. Cloth napkins are so versatile. I think back, I'm like, wow, I really used a lot of those to do all kinds of decorative things because they were cheap. I think they were inexpensive and just an easy change. Did you ever paint any of your government quarters?
We did. In fact, that same place, it was real popular. The slate blue and beige was the big thing. So we did, and I got permission. And they said that I needed to paint it when we left. But fortunate for me, when they came and did the inspection, they told me they were painting the whole place anyway. So I didn't have to do it.
Wow, you look, I was a big painter, accent walls, at least accent walls. And I did one in Germany, and people couldn't believe it. It was like this yellow color, probably close to what my walls are here. And I couldn't stand, I had nothing. I had nothing that matched it. Like all my stuff looked terrible. I said, I don't care. I don't mind painting. It's therapy, right? And I painted our like main whole living area. Oh my gosh, you would have thought everybody thought I was crazy. And I'm like, I will paint it back. I'll paint it back. I will happily paint it back for the few years, or else I'm going to have anxiety. It would be cheaper for me to get it painted than it would to, have to buy all new stuff. That's hysterical. So any crazy, like one of the things that I always find funny is that I've heard of people's completely losing every single bit of household goods, like they fall off the truck type stuff, or in the ocean. Like I've heard fall off ships in the ocean, which is bizarre to me. What would you say was the worst personally, or a story from one of your clients was like literally just broke your heart, or just broke you down, that you weren't expecting anything tragic?
Well, I know when they moved me, I had an antique trunk that I had gotten for a 16th birthday from my parents, and it had the leather handles on the side. It was valuable. And when they moved it, I don't know what made them think they could lift up this trunk by the leather handles that were 150 years old, but they did. And they broke the handles off. So the value just went right down. So that was like an expensive mistake on their part.
And personal, because moving around,
very personal.
We tend to keep those memories with us. We don't have our families with us, and we're not at mom's house with all the trinkets that she's got, in our room from when we were younger. And I know for me, trying to figure out what am I going to take around, because you accumulate so much stuff every time you move. I mean, we just moved into our final forever home, 5 years ago. We got rid of so much when my husband retired, probably half of what we owned. And I look at it, I'm in my house today, I'm like, oh my gosh, we just have all this stuff again. Purging and organizing, and always in that constant mode of, I just can't take it all with me. Any advice to people moving maybe to Maryland? Like we don't have basements in Texas. That was like massive. Like we were like, where are we gonna put all our stuff? And I swore I was not going to get storage units, because I knew so many people, they would get storage units and they'd move and they would have storage units in like all these states with just jam-packed of all their stuff. I said, oh my gosh, that is not going to be us. We're never, and I've never, knock wood, gotten a storage unit. But what kind of, like, what's the housing like? What are the houses like? Do you have basements? And what would people need to think about if they were going to be coming to Maryland, maybe that they aren't thinking of when they're coming from somewhere else?
Okay, what I always tell people is, and this is how I've always done it myself, is if you don't use it for a year, get rid of it. You're probably never going to use it. So I've always purged every move I made. Everything that I brought with me, I had a place for it. But I know there's a lot of people that don't do that. And a lot of people are looking for basements. In fact, I was just out today and they didn't have enough storage in this house. And I had a basement, but it was 99% finished. So that was great, but where am I going to store my stuff? And the storage units around here, and I don't know how much they are all over the country, but they're extremely expensive. They've gone up so much. And you can't even afford them. You really can't. Especially these young military families that think, oh, I'll just put it in storage and it's like $600 a month.
Oh my God.
And we're like, how could I afford that? So yes, I always tell people, try not to bring anything more than you need. Of course, it may cost you more to store it than it's worth, the actual merchandise.
Yeah, that's good advice. I love that 1 year rule. I would always do that with clothing. There's always these little, like, okay, put all your clothes and then put like a ribbon or put something on the rod, and you can't, when you wear something, you get to put it on the other side of the marker. And after like a year, if it's still on this other side, like that's what you know, you like you literally haven't worn it in a year. And to get rid of that. And I know a lot of people are like this Marie Kondo, you know, super simplifying techniques. I'm not quite there. That's super minimalistic, but you know, one set of sheets for every bed. I'm like, what? But what happens when you want to change colors and seasons and, you know, different weights and things like that, you know. But that was, and as you add family members, you know, now you're having kids and you have more kid stuff and all of the moves. I mean, you get an allowance based on your dependents, and there's a weight allowance. So that's something that people need to keep in mind, because moving is very expensive. And if you go over, you know, that allowance and you have to pay for that, that can be a really big, costly thing too. So I love that 1 year. I mean, just at the duty station, right? Like if you were there and it was still in the box and you never unpacked it or never used it during that particular PCS, probably a good indicator. Like don't even open the box, right? Just literally remove, don't even take the tape off, because you clearly don't need it. We still have in our garage from 5 years ago. I still have boxes in the garage, and I'm like, what am I doing with the? I don't even know what's in them. And I keep saying to my husband, we just need to just put it on the curb, just put it out on the curb. But he's, you know, there might be something in there that we don't know we need. So we have that battle, you know, that battle of our. He likes to hang on to everything, and I'm like, just haven't used it, get rid of it. So any final thoughts, you know, anything you can offer, words of wisdom, because you've been in this business for so long and you've been in Maryland, in your area. I mean, you must know it like the back of your hand. Just anything people may not be thinking of on, you know, just when they're doing a basic Google search. Anything, tips to keep in mind, or anything special that makes coming to your area or working with you, choosing to work with you, because our choices are thousands. I don't know how many people in your MLS. We're like 7,000 active agents. You know, what makes you unique and the most the smartest choice for people? Like what's your elevator pitch?
Right. So what I usually say is, I've been there and I've done that. So anything that you're doing, I've done it more times than I'd like to remember. And I remember those days back when we didn't have computers and we didn't have GPS and we didn't have people to help us except with a phone call, and you met them and they took you to places you didn't want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So what I always tell them is, I do a Zoom call. I'm on with them usually for an hour. I explain everything about the area. They do get sticker shock. Please check with an agent before you come here. Give me a call, because I do have to explain how the prices are around here in the different counties and areas. So that has been an issue. But I do know it, like you said, I do know it like the back of my hand. And I tell everybody, I'm a little older. I treat everybody like family. And usually, if I wouldn't put my kids in those homes, I wouldn't put you in those homes.
Right.
You're my military family. And I'm
Right.
going to take care of you, because you don't have your parents here or your family here. And I take the place of that. So whenever you read any of my reviews, you'll hear stories like that I took them under my wing, and I just made sure that they got what they really were supposed to get. And they weren't like, you know, oh, okay, I'll find you something. And they take them to an area that's not what they asked for, and they settle. And I won't let my clients settle.
I love that. I love that, because we as military families are unique. You know, we have a bond, you know, that brotherhood, just like our spouses and the soldiers who are always like, hey, once you've served together, you know, like you just have this bond that you'll never get rid of. I mean, we see friends that we served with 20 years ago, and it's like we never left each other. And I feel like that's part of what we can bring to the table. Like you said, like we've been there, done that, and we speak the language, even if it's an unspoken word. Like we get you, we totally get you, and you're not just a transaction. You know,
Exactly.
you are our family member, and we're going to be here for you and your family and your friends, you know, and your referrals, and treat you like you're one of us, which they are, you know. And I love that, and I think that's something that makes us really special in this industry, is being able to you know, just communicate that. And I think there's just an unspoken bond. you know,
Definitely.
that's among military families, which is why even though we're retired, I can't not work with
Yeah.
military families. It's just our calling. It's been part of our lives for so long, to be able to bring that to other people is like super special.
And that really is part of the reason I got into being in this area. I did want to help the military. I felt it was my obligation. They serve us, I want to serve them.
Hmm.
And I do speak the lingo, the LES, the PCS, and other agents are like, what is that? When
Right.
I'm trying to talk about my clients to them. And one thing I want to mention is, guys, if you're coming to an area, any area, make sure before you start looking and bidding on homes or putting applications on our rentals, make sure you have your orders in hand.
Mm,
Okay, because you're not going to get approval on your mortgage unless you do, and you shouldn't rent unless you do because you won't be able to get out of it.
right.
So be very careful about that.
Yeah. So timing, never too soon to start having the conversation, but there is a too soon to start putting your name on the dotted line in some situations. Yeah. Well, Carolann, I loved talking to you. It's so refreshing. And I've had such a great experience with this podcast and watching it grow and develop and just talking to some amazing, same-hearted people like all over the country. And I think just creating a network so military families can feel safe. They have great contacts, wherever they're going. And if you ever come across a client that has a crazy story or somebody that would love to just share their story, this is not all about real estate, but it is part of moving and that relocation piece. That's where we come in and we can help people get settled with our local communities as well. And we do that because we're realtors. That's how we are able to be that resource. So I appreciate your time and taking time to come on and share about Maryland. And I'm a Jersey girl. I was born and raised in South Jersey, so we've done a little Maryland trips as a kid, but I haven't been back as an adult. And when I do, we will be sure to get together. And if you're listening and you are headed to Maryland, Carolann is your person. She is going to take great care of you. I would feel comfortable being with another family member, a military family member. So I'll make sure all of your contact information is attached to this great podcast. So if anybody reaches out or needs to reach out to you, they'll have all your information.
That would be wonderful. I really appreciate the podcast for all the military families. It's great.
Yes. Well, thank you again. And I can't wait to talk to you again soon sometime.
Bye.
Bye.